larger right away, and then crossover tangent links, which basically ensures that our vehicles are not basically between two curves. They are not suddenly change the driving path, right? So some of other cross sections that we will be looking at. There are medium width, as we know, that it's some sort of a varying width over the median. Median in DDI will probably have different functionalities, such as accommodating our active transportation facilities. Then crossover design that we discussed it. These are the travel lane when we are accommodating the vehicular traffic. We have a bicycle lane. It really, most of the time, it is inside. It is adopted. It is basically it is designed intended facilities. Some of the performance checks, they're obviously, as any other what is it called? As any other design project, we have design vehicles, active transportation, transit facilities that we need to make sure that they are well accommodated, safe, and with the required capacity. Obviously, we want to provide adequate stopping and intersection site distances for all movements, no exceptions, and also the view angles. Many other projects, we may have design variances. They must be identified. Potential risks must be identified, solutions to mitigate them, as well as reporting them to the project owner. And then, there are some, how do I want to say, there are some specific performance checks as well, right? One is that approach vista, which is this one. Obviously, we want to make sure that, nothing is blocked, and also our traffic will have no chance or minimum chance to actually drive in a wrong way. Obviously, if that happens, it's going to be very dangerous. Then, we have the path alignment. We don't want them to cross each other, not over our not along our crossover tangents or upcoming or sorry, upstream or downstream curves, and not beyond that. And then also we have the vista through crossover, which is that one. So that's basically is the vista over crossover. Now let me just share with you the second one. Now, what challenges do you face when you are designing DDIs? Let me share this one. Again, we are basically giving it 10 seconds. As I can see right now, some people almost, crossover configuration. Yes, we're going to address that. Ramp, tie-in, and lane configuration. We're going to address that one. Truck movement patterns through the ramps and crossover. We're going to address that. And then, people have chosen, all of the above, which is, quite understandable. So I'm going to give it another 10 seconds. Okay. For those who have recently joined us, because I see people are joining us, we are 15 minutes through our session. We have discussed basically NCLUG Charter Report 959 highlights, and we are right now discussing the performance checks associated with DDI design. So here, this is the different references being used in the research that has led to the issuance of NCLUG Charter Report 959. Now let's look at DDI. NEXUS DDI, which is Transsoft solution for design planning and design of diverging diamond interchanges. NEXUS DDI is a multi-platform chat-based analytical powerhouse to design DDI. What does that mean? That means that first of all, multi-platform chat-based, meaning that whether you're working in Autodesk environment or if you're working in Bentley, namely Civil 3D, AutoCAD, MicroStation, and ORD, the user interface and user experience is quite identical, right? So it doesn't matter what is the platform that you're using. It basically matters how you're going to be using it. It's an analytical powerhouse, meaning that it's not basically like a drafting tool. It basically analyzes based on your requirements, based on your design criteria, as well as the design inputs, and then it generates the first iterations, and it enables you to dynamically edit your different elements of your DDI. What it does is that we talked about the design criteria and site constraints, how dynamic editing, and then it provides dynamic feedback. Like you cannot force it to design or generate something that's not reasonable. What basically we don't want to say it eliminates, because there is still a lot of different iterations. You want to look at different scenarios, but it makes it like really easy. It makes it very effective to look at different scenarios at the same time. And also, the design controls such as sightlines and design vehicle accommodation, they are automated and they're dynamically integrated within the software. We talked about, several aspects of, or highlights of NCLUG Charter Report. I have summarized that. And as you can see, the NEXUS DDI's current version, and we're working on new versions. NEXUS DDI current version basically adopts most, if not all of it. Like right now, it does not have a speed profile, and right now it does not have a vertical alignment checks. They are coming. We're working on that. So this is basically different aspects of a DDI design that are adopted within NEXUS DDI. We have a technical demonstration right now. We are going to be looking at I-40 at Union Crossroad. That's in a community called Kinsville in North Carolina. If I'm not mistaken, it's probably about 100 miles or less west of Raleigh, and also almost the same distance northeast of Charlotte. It has been in design since 2011, but it is opened in September 19, 2015. Now, with most of you coming from North Carolina, I have a feeling that some of you may have seen it. Maybe at one point you can share that experience with us. This is the one that we are looking at. When we are in MicroStation, what I am doing is that I have actually turned it so the north will be up, this one, like our east will will be on top of the screen. That's, because we wanted to make the best out of our our screen size. This is I-40, Interstate 40. This is the crossroad. These two connect different communities, and I have a lot of thinking, and there has been a lot of planning on into it. I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is a $250 million project, but I could be mistaken. This is only what I have read. So. Now we are in MicroStation. I have basically broadened the background. It's to scale, and that's courtesy of Google Earth, by the way. The background. The blue line, and I'm going to change the color, but the blue lines are what we call reference line. Before we get to reference line, let me give you a very short tour of what NEXUS DDI is about. NEXUS DDI is a workflow from left to right, similar to other transport solutions like products. So first we have program setting. This is where I can set my units, and I can basically bring in the vehicle libraries that I want to use within my design. As you can see, it's got the ASTRO and other, basically, if you are familiar with AutoTurn, you know how comprehensive the vehicle libraries are. This is design guideline displays, from if you have, you can basically create your own design guidelines. We're going to look at it in a few minutes. Then we have vehicle libraries. If, for example, you are looking at an overweight, oversized truck, and you don't have it in your library, we will be happy to design it for you so you can use it in your projects. This is licensing information, and this is the contact information. Then we have properties. Properties basically serve two main purposes. Right now we are in MicroStation, so we call it level. You can assign different levels to different elements, and also you can assign different colors to different elements, as well as line types. So I am not going to go through all of this because it's very self-explanatory. It's easy. I need to mention that if within your project, during your project, you want to change an element or you want to update an element, all you need to do is to come here, change a different attribute, and then update your drawing, update your design. Design guideline is basically the backbone of our software. Design guideline is not really, how do I want to say it? It's not really your design criteria, but you can embed your design criteria into your design guideline. Okay. For example, the design guideline, we have the design speed. You can always create your own, or you can update this one as well. Then we have the design vehicle. As you can see, we have WB67 and a passenger car. We have major lanes, the beginning of, major lanes like width. You can change that. This is the crossover lanes, ramp lanes, and then, shoulder width, bicycle lanes, islands, crossover. These are basically the minimum tangent of, crossovers. If you want, you can set all that. If you want to check eyebrow check, sight lines, these are the initial values. You can always edit those depending on your project requirements. Good. I'm going to show you the design manager. We will be looking at the DDI. We will edit them. The rest of them, I prefer that I actually show them to you in action. The blue lines that you can see here are actually what we call the reference line. They are not exactly the alignment because NEXUS DDI provides us with the flexibility to change all these alignment, but they are basically the starting point. Now, needless to say, you can actually use, the alignment of your, basically crossroads and lane rules as well. Just remember that to use NEXUS DDI, what you want to have is actually, this is the format that it basically uses. I could have this, as like locks, and I could have used, like if I was in chat, I could have like a polyline, it could have been curved, but for the simplicity of today's discussion, we basically that. And these are for my ramp, the same thing, they can be the central line, they can be, but let's just call them collectively as alignments, right? So what I'm going to do is to change the color of these. Okay. Okay. Just give me 1 second. Okay, now going back to NEXUS DDI. So if I wanted to generate the NEXUS DDI, okay, I am going to pick the minor and main row. If I right click, it provides me with an option of where I want to look the very first iteration of my DDI. Okay, so this is obviously the very first iteration of the DDI. Okay, as you can see, it has created 2 crossovers. It has provided me with these ramps as well, and we have this underpass or overpass depending on my project requirement. Obviously, this requires editing, right? So now that I am here, it provides me with this box. I can do many edits here by applying different values to these inputs, right? As you can see, crossroad, I can change them sidewalks. There are different attributes. For now, I am going to turn these off, and I am also going to turn this off as well. So, we have a quicker type of editing. So let's look at this crossover here, okay? For the benefit of time, we're just going to look at this crossover. Okay. First thing I want to do is that I want to basically relocate my crossover. I can here. I can start by putting my crossover here. Okay. I can also change the crossover angle, but I'm going to leave that when we actually have I can change this as well. This is that how we want to align our roadways. Now then I want to find this ramp. I have a few different ways. I can bring this here. Okay. I can then bring this one here. Then also here. Right. Then I want to provide them with probably larger radius. Why don't I use 150? This one 150 as well for my right turn. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is to align it with this one. So I can here, and it is realigned. We are going to look at the laning later. Now, we just want to get our alignments right. I'm going to pull this one here as well. I am going to do this one. Then drag this one west, then this one as well, and maybe here. Okay, I'm gonna increase the length here. Okay, then I want to give it like a bit of larger. Why don't I this time give it 200 and then okay. Now I want to realign it. I give it okay. I want to realign it. You can see it got realigned. Again, we are going to be looking at the laning configuration later. Okay. Now I will probably want to relocate my crossover. I'm going to bring it down to here. Okay. So as you can see, let me just go back here. We have several different ways of editing this crossover. I can basically change the minimum tangent in, minimum tangent out. So as you can see, that's editable. This is right now 38, a crossover angle 38, and then I have an angle that's 0 right now. So I can basically change all of them, or I can use this. Now you see this again. I can change this, right? You can see the angle data, and obviously, the location of my crossover. Now, one thing we need to notice is that how integrated these are, right? Because this is actually an integrated system. If they're not, whenever I wanted to basically locate my crossover, let's say 10 feet, 20 feet, or 50 feet, to the west, if I am doing it manually, one would have to redesign and replan everything here. Okay. So now that we have looked at our crossover, let's do some laning configuration. For example, here we actually have two lanes. Obviously, they will merge down the road. But here I am going to activate this. This is ramp 2. So I'm going to go to ramp 2, right? I am going to here. Now we got here. We see two lanes, right? They're not merging. Obviously, again, they are merging down. The other thing that I want to have is here. We have a dedicated right turn here. So I'll go to right turn, and I am going to put it a dedicated right turn. Okay, so now we have a dedicated right turn. Okay. Here we have 3 through lanes. Right now we have only 2. So why don't I add 1 lane here? Okay. Same thing here. We have 2 lanes, but we have a dedicated right turn. But this is my ramp 1. If I go to ramp 1, first thing I want to do is that I have 2 left turn lane, one of which is dedicated. So I am going to have 2 left turn lane. We don't have a spare one. We have a dedicated right turn, like this one. And then here, go like that. Here. See, merge inner, merge left here. So as you can see, now we have 2 dedicated left turn. This one is, we will need to realign this one, but this one, as you can see, this is basically the dedicated left turn. The other one will actually merge us through. Almost exactly the same thing that we see in our project. Okay. So now I am going to go click OK and OK. So I will have to go to edit the DDI. First thing I want to do is to realign this part. By the way, when I am here, okay, I can basically realign, my overpass here. As you can see, it will relocate my crossover as well. I can even change this here, right? As you can see, and then also I can change it here. I can change this, the angle of my overpass or underpass as well. So now that I am here, I'm going to bring it down. Now we see that, you know, when you, I am going just to show you how we can realign this one as well. Kind of put it here. Okay. Then I want to basically relocate this terminal a little bit to east. Obviously, I want to pull this one to east. As you can see, I can put this one, then that one. So now I am going to change the DDI. I am going to give it a bit of more, like this is the left turn. I probably want to look at what 150 will look like, and this one, I want to do like 120, right? But now I guess, you know, we can easily realign it. As you can see, then I am going to do some additional laning. So this is ramp 4. So I'll go to ramp 4, right? First of all, is that we have 2 lanes here. They do merge, but that's later. This one is a dedicated right turn, as you can see. So I want to have a dedicated right turn. That we have 3 lanes going through, so I am going to add another lane here, right? As you can see, and then here we have 3 lanes here, as you can see. Now that we have it, okay. Then what I'm going to do is to add. Going to basically increase this right turn to probably 150. I can obviously go to 180 if I wanted to. And then maybe I want to relocate my over. As you can see, I mean, you know, for the benefit of time, I can't really go and do all of this. I'm going to show you one that, you know, we created for the purpose of, Now, what I'm going to do is to make some changes here. So let's say, because I want to compare it, you know, to the other one. Let's say that I go to edit this. Okay. Let's say we only have 2 lanes here and 2 lanes here, 2 lanes here. Okay. Let's say, you know, this is the one that we have, right? And yeah, I'll keep it this way. Okay. Let's say this is one of the scenarios that we are looking at. Okay. And, you know, we want to compare it with another one, with another scenario. Obviously, you know, as we know, the DDIs may require, you know, many different scenarios to before, you know, we actually have a viable one. I am going to save this iteration. I'm going to call it first iteration. Okay. Now, what I can do, I can turn this off. I can bring on the one that I actually created before our session. As you can see, you know, I have, you know, it for the most part is resembling our, you know, current project, right? So I can bring this one up as well. I can turn that one off. I can turn this one off and create unlimited number of additional scenarios. Do this. The other thing I can do is to put this, get the report. And what it gives me is that iteration 1, iteration 2, it provides me with the differences, like design differences between the two scenarios. Now, for those of us, who have actually worked on not only DDI but different design, even when you're doing like the construction staging, all different things, it's basically, the value of this feature is quite obvious. Now that I am showing this, I can tell you that I have not exactly seen it, but I have heard that people use Design Manager to even create, some sort of construction staging as well. So now that we have seen, different editing powers associated with our NEXUS DDI, let's look at some design checks. That's for the benefit of time. I can go on. We're just scratching the surface right now. If someone has any interest in looking at it in more detail, by all means, please let us know. So if I go to DDI again, no, I'm not. Let's not look at this for now. I am going to show you some evaluation. First thing we want to evaluate is, truck movement. I am going to use WB67 from actually 2018, right? So let's look at some critical movements, such as this left turn. Okay. As you can see, we require a bit of more distance here. So I can widen it. It shows me the apron that I require. If I turn this off, it shows that I require to accommodate the WB67. Obviously, we don't want, the passenger cars will not be using it. It's only for truck use, right? Let's look at another movement. It says, remember that we discussed that NEXUS DDI is actually smart. It says that, to adopt a WB, actually to accommodate a WB67, some locations will require to be wider by 3 feet. This is where it is. So, you can see that, that the locations that we want to actually have that, I'm going to turn this off. And then I want to add another movement. Let's say, we want to look at this right turn. Again, tells me that, if a WB67 is using, the outer lane, okay, this is the one that I need. This is the apron that I need. Now, we know that truck apron, at least, on the outer part, is quite common when it comes to DDI design, because, because of, the tight nature of the turn. So this is, how we want to evaluate truck movement. The other thing that I want to evaluate is, obviously the sidelines. So I want to have like a sideline. Okay. This is the sideline for this crosswalk. We have a passenger car arriving at 20 miles per hour. We have a perception breakdown, we have a deceleration, and then, I can change all this. I can check this at here. Obviously, I am exaggerating. So this is then a sightline that I require, and also this is the angle that I need to have available for that line, meaning that these whole area need to be empty so they can have their own adequate sightline. I need to watch the time as well. So, we can have this for all different, for all these crosswalks and stop, right? I'm going to do one more. Again, this is 20. If I change it to 30 this time, as you can see, it provides me with the required sightline as well as the stop. An important check within DDI are these lines. These lines, they will let us know if there is a safety risk associated with potentially these people coming from, in this case, coming from west, basically go in a wrong direction, right? Creating a conflict point here. Now I want to go to edit. Okay. I want to see if I want to make them red so you can see. Well, if there is little, because we designed it based on an existing project, we don't see a red you don't see a red, but I mean that means that right now in all movements it is working well. But if we didn't have it, then oh, here you see here, as you can see, this becomes red, meaning these people right now, okay, they have how do I want to say, there is a potential safety risk that they actually drive onto like a wrong direction, basically go straight and then get into conflict the upcoming traffic that are trying to proceed through our crossover, right? So this is basically a very effective tool when you're designing your DDI, and it provides you with like live information, dynamic information. Now, remember that from the second that you actually create your DDI, these lines, they exist. You can turn them on or you can turn them off. I can go here, right? I can turn them off. If I turn them on, then it will be here. There are different ways. Also here, median check, and eyebrow check. So what I'm saying is that they're quite dynamic from the second that you start. So that's median and eyebrow check. Now it turns green, meaning that now that risk is mitigated. Okay. Then we can look at all these elements here. You can turn them on and off. For example, if I turn on the signage, it generates, because we know that the traffic signs associated with our with DDIs are quite how do I want to say, complicated. It generates the required traffic signs. Obviously, some of them may need to be edited, but generally this is what we need, and this is where they go, and it creates this table here as well. We can turn these on when our design is done, so we can have a better look at it. we can turn on the glare screen checks, where our, where we may have these glare screen type of like a pattern on our crossover and how we want to mitigate that. And then what else? We have the stop bar, we have the labels, and we have the signage. We looked at all this. Then we looked at we can edit the stop bars as well. For example, if I wanted to edit this one, I can either have it from the road edge, or I can have it right beside the crosswalk. I can change this to, let's say, 10, just for visibility purposes. As you can see, it changes and it's editable. This is our stop bar. This is our crosswalk. Then we want to have, edit features. I can basically change it to 2. Right? So it's easy to. So we looked at that. Then obviously you can generate a report when your design is done. This is the report. It's easy to export, and you can always contact us for more detail. Here for more detail. Before we go to question and answer, I have one more poll. We appreciate, do that. Obviously, this is not considering if you decide to utilize NEXUS DDI. This is assuming that you just do that, and by design. Again, obviously, what we mean is that to the level that we discussed today. This is not a detailed design. This is more like some sort of like evaluating different options for your project. Okay, so I am going to close it. Now, because we are in GoToWebinar, if someone has a question, if you put it on the question box, I am going to answer, some questions right now. Again, thank you very much, Patty, for organizing this. We really appreciate it. We are going to, generate this clip. We are going to share it with the group, and it will come sometime within the next few days. For anyone who has a question, because again we are just to operate as a plugin to MacroStation. Is there a version? Okay, I have a question here. This software appears to operate as a plugin to MacroStation. Is there a version for Open Road Designer software? Yes, absolutely. You can use this with exactly the same user interface and user experience in Open Roads as well. NCLUG is quickly moving and to ORD. Yes, all our softwares are basically, you can use them with you can use them in ORD as well. No, it's not obsolete. Again, if you have any interest in looking at NEXUS DDI ORD, please let me know, and I will basically we will plan another webinar for you. Please do your questions here in the question chat so I can respond to them. Otherwise, you can always email us and contact us if you have any specific question.